Have you ever finished reading a book, closed it, and then realized you can barely remember anything you just read? Not the ideas, not the examples, sometimes not even the chapter title. You might even feel stupid afterward, like, am I slow? Why do other people seem to remember things so easily? And quietly that hurts, because deep down you wanted reading to change your life. You wanted knowledge to make you sharper, more confident, more capable. Instead, it feels like water passing through your hands. But here's the truth most people never tell you. The problem is not your memory. The problem is how you're reading. I want to tell you something important. Forgetting what you read is not a failure of intelligence. It's a failure of method. And today I want to break down why you forget up to 90% of what you read, the psychological reasons behind it, and most importantly, how to fix it without reading more books, studying longer, or forcing discipline. Once you understand why this happens psychologically, you'll stop blaming yourself and finally start retaining what matters. By the end of this video, the way you read will change forever. The big lie about reading. We grew up believing that reading automatically equals learning, but you can't learn when an information never stays in your head. If you read 10 pages, you must be smarter. If you finish 20 books a year, you must be intelligent. But reading and remembering are not the same thing. Reading exposes you to an information. Remembering helps you retain that information you read. Here's a powerful truth. You can read a book and gain nothing, but you can remember one sentence, and that one sentence can change your entire life. Your brain does not reward effort. It rewards meaning. Your brain is not designed to store information. That sounds shocking, but it's true. Your brain is designed to filter information. Every second it asks, is this relevant? Is this emotionally important? Will this affect my decisions or survival? If the answer is no, your brain deletes it. If your brain does not see a reason to keep information, it deletes it. And that's why you forget almost everything. Because your brain keeps what matters and erases the rest. So when you read a book passively, your brain says, this is interesting, but unnecessary. And unnecessary information does not survive. It gets deleted to enable you focus on what matters a lot to you. Your brain is a survival machine. Psychologically, your brain has one main job: keep you alive. It constantly asks, is this information useful? Is it emotionally important? Will I need this to survive, decide, or act? If the answer is no, your brain treats it like background noise. That's why you can remember an embarrassing moment from 5 years ago, a painful argument word for word, a song lyric you heard once, but you forget a chapter you read yesterday. Emotion locks memory in place. Neutral information fades. Here's a dangerous illusion most readers live in: the feeling of understanding. You read a sentence, you nod, you say, yeah, that makes sense. But understanding is not memory. Recognition is not retention. Your brain can recognize ideas without storing them. That's why you can reread a page and think, oh yeah, I remember this. But when asked to explain it, your mind goes blank. Real learning only happens when your brain is forced to work. Emotion is the gatekeeper of memory. Most people read like robots. Flat tone, no curiosity, no emotional reaction. You're reading words, but nothing is happening inside you. And when there is no emotional response, your brain says, this is not important. That's why emotional engagement is the first key to retention. When something shocks you, angers you, excites you, or makes you think, wow, this explains my life, your brain flags it as important. Think about this. You probably remember your most embarrassing moment, a painful breakup, a huge mistake, a proud achievement. Why? Because emotion stamps memory. Emotion tells your brain, do not delete this. When you read without emotion, your brain stays neutral. Neutral memories fade fast. But when something triggers curiosity, challenges your beliefs, makes you uncomfortable, feels deeply personal, your brain lights up. That's why reading should never be cold. You should feel something. If you feel nothing, you'll remember nothing. The environment is killing your memory. Let's talk about where you read and how it impacts you. Your environment silently trains your brain. If you read while scrolling your phone, with background noise while tired or distracted, in the same place you relax or sleep, your brain enters passive mode. It assumes, this is entertainment, not learning. That's why studying on your bed barely works. Your brain associates that space with rest. Why studying on your bed barely works? 1. Your brain is conditioned to relax there. Your activities on your bed involve sleeping, scrolling, movies, comfort. So when you sit there with a book, your brain switches into passive mood, not focus mood. 2. Dopamine association. Your bed is associated with easy pleasure, not effort, and so your brain resists hard thinking. There where you rest should not be where you build discipline. Your brain remembers information better in environment linked to focus. Memory improves when your environment signals intention. A quiet place, good lighting, phone far away, a posture that says, I'm here to engage. Your brain responds to cues. Focus is not optional. You cannot multitask and remember. Every time you break focus, your brain resets the memory process. Reading while checking messages is like pouring water into a leaking cup, writing on sand while waves hit. Deep focus allows your brain to connect ideas, form patterns, store information long-term. Even 10 minutes of focused reading beats 1 hour of distracted reading. You cannot remember what you never fully focused on. Every notification, every glance at your phone, every background noise breaks the memory chain. Why highlighting doesn't work. Most people highlight everything. Most people highlight to feel productive. But highlighting does not equal thinking. Your brain remembers effort, not color. If you highlight without stopping to process, you are decorating the page, not learning. Pages turn yellow, but memory stays empty. Why? Because highlighting is passive recognition, not active understanding. Your brain remembers what it processes, not what it sees. Instead of highlighting everything, ask, what does this mean? Why is this important? How does this connect to my life? What problem does this solve? If you don't stop and think, your brain won't keep it. Memory follows meaning. The power of summarizing in your own words. Here's one of the strongest techniques for retention. After a section, pause. Close the book. Explain the idea to yourself, in your own words. Not perfectly, not academically, just simply, what was the main idea here? If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it yet. This forces your brain to translate information, organize it, store it meaningfully. This method turns passive reading into active learning. That's why teaching is the fastest way to learn. Study what resonates first. Your brain gives you signals. When something resonates, you pause, you reread it, you feel seen. Here's a mistake most people make. They try to understand everything equally. Major ideas, minor details, side examples, footnotes. Your brain gets overwhelmed. Instead, do this. Pay attention to what resonates emotionally. When something makes you stop, nod your head, or think, this is me, that's your brain saying, this is relevant to your life. That's your brain telling you, this matters. Don't ignore those moments. Spend more time there. Lean into those moments. Memory follows meaning. You don't need to remember everything in a book. Books are not meant to be memorized. They are meant to be understood. You need to remember the core ideas, the main principles, life-changing insights. Most books can be reduced to 5 to 10 major points. Trying to remember every detail creates stress and forgetfulness. Understanding the framework first makes details easier to recall later. The fact still remains that most books can change your life with just one idea. Let the rest go. Why repetition alone is not enough. Information becomes permanent when it changes behavior. Reading something again without engagement doesn't help much. Repetition works only when combined with reflection, application, emotional connection. Ask, how does this change how I think? How does this apply to my life? What habits should I change? What would happen if I ignored this idea? Your brain remembers what affects identity and action. Action transforms memory into identity. Let me say this clearly. You are not stupid. Your memory is not broken. You were just never taught how memory actually works. You don't forget because you're lazy. You forget because your brain is efficient. When you read with emotion, focus, the right environment, active thinking, and attention to major ideas, your retention improves naturally. Reading stops being frustrating and starts becoming transformative. So here's your challenge. The next time you read, read with intention. Remove distractions. Pause and summarize. Focus on what resonates. Retain the big ideas, not everything. If this video helped you, like it so more people can see it. Subscribe if you want to learn how to think better, focus deeper, and grow smarter without burning out. And comment below, what's the hardest thing for you to remember when studying or reading? I'll see you in the next one.